Did you ever feel your chest tighten around someone and you were wondering if it's your intuition telling you something or if it was your trauma reacting? Today, I want to talk about what the difference is, how you can figure out if it is your intuition talking to you or if is your trauma resurfacing because you are triggered, and how to navigate whatever it is in that moment. So, just from experience, I know the way intuition talks and I know the way my trauma talks. And that is just also a thing that I channel for other people. It's pretty much always the same for everyone. Because if it is your intuition, it is clear, it is calm, it is subtle, but it is steady. Like, it will come back. It will show you through different scenarios and interaction, specifically with that person, that it is a reoccurring feeling of something is off. Something is not in alignment. Something feels not as if I'm still in alignment with that person. Something wants to tell me that we need to revisit this. We need to look at this, right? And if it is your trauma, it usually is urgency, panic. It questions things. So it's not a statement. It is actually saying, like, what if yada, yada, yada? Is that person yada, yada, yada? That person is doing something. That person is having an agenda or whatever it is. But there is urgency behind it. Sometimes it even feels like that voice in your head is shrill and it is screaming and it is making it uncomfortable. It's going through your skin, like you can feel it everywhere, and it just is a reaction in your body. If it is intuition, it usually is very calm and it speaks in statements. It lets you know that something is off here. Even if you don't really understand what is off yet, or you can't really pinpoint it yet, you know that it is. And that should be, in the best case scenario, enough for you to notice and enough for you to react and enough for you to know that this is not in alignment and I need to get out of it. Okay? So when you are in a situation like this, and maybe now you get a little bit more clarity if it is trauma resurfacing or if it is intuition, I need you to act accordingly. Let's talk about when it is intuition. When it has been coming up, you know that it is not in alignment anymore. You kind of have to take accountability here. And to continuously walk in integrity, you have to end that relationship, or at least have a conversation about this reoccurring thing and talking to that person, telling them that that doesn't feel aligned and that that is a thing that they should revisit for themselves, because maybe it's their trauma reaction. Maybe what they are saying or what they are doing that causes you to feel that it is not in alignment anymore is not necessarily them intentionally doing something to cause you harm, but maybe it is their trauma response from something else that is resurfacing, that is coming up. Okay, so I want you to have the guts to have that conversation, talk to that person about it, or if there have been conversations prior and it is an ongoing thing and it just crystallizes itself into more and more misalignment, then it might be the time to cut the tie. And that usually also takes a conversation, and that's maybe even a more uncomfortable conversation. So if it has been coming up for a while, but there is, and that's my personal opinion here, and it has been a very long relationship and there has been a lot of beauty in that relationship, but now for a while this thing is reoccurring, then it is worth it to talk about it and work on that relationship. If some things like this happen early on in a relationship, like even up to a year, in my opinion, then have that conversation. And if that doesn't do anything and it's still happening, it's time to leave that relationship. We have to make space in our lives for things that are more in alignment by cutting the ties with the people and the things that are not in alignment. It is a thing that has to happen. It is a thing that makes you sometimes be seen as the villain even. That's where the I'm in my villain era thing is coming from, that you might have heard of in the spiritual field, in the spiritual world. Because sometimes you will be seen as a villain because you have been letting people walk all over you for a while, because you probably have people pleasing tendencies, and that sometimes you just have enough, and then you set a boundary, and then that makes them feel like you are the villain. Okay, so this is where the term is really from. Like, you're not actually the villain, you're just being seen as that by other people not being able to see your perspective. Okay, what if it is trauma? What if you are, so let's say that's the other way around, right? You are being triggered by that person continuously by something, and you feel the shrillness, the urgency, the panic coming up, your chest tighten, maybe just in general, like your gut is like clenching, or however it shows up in your body. Then a conversation is necessary just as much, and talk to them about it. I can feel that this is triggering me, and I'm trying to figure out what it is, because I don't think it necessarily is you. I would love for you to be able to maybe be a little bit more considerate about these things, because it is triggering me at the moment, but I want to work on that. Do you see me having a blind spot here? Do you see me not being able to grasp what it really is? Or maybe you take some time for yourself to figure it out yourself, and then you get the connection and you realize that it is connected to something that has happened to you in the past, and that's why it's a trauma response. And then with that awareness, you go have that conversation and tell that person and be like, I'm working through this. I would love for you to be a little bit more considerate when you do or say these things, because I'm still navigating it, but I want you to know that I'm working on it. I want you to know that it is a thing. You have to walk in integrity. You have to get into accountability. And the faster you have that conversation with the person that is affecting you, the easier it will be. The longer you wait, the more misalignment is happening. And the more, when you think about misalignment, it really means that you are not in the same frequency anymore. You're not on the same level anymore. So the further away you are, the higher the chance that this conversation is going to be uncomfortable, because that person is frequency wise so far away from you that it is almost impossible for them to understand where you're coming from. And the other way around, you will maybe also not be able to understand where they are coming from anymore. So it's going to be more difficult, which then just also shows that it very much is not an alignment anymore. So that connection will not be beneficial for either or. Okay, so the earlier you have that conversation, the higher the chance that there is a possibility to create a container to heal together, to then have a different kind of relationship or grow even more into that relationship. The longer you wait, the more friction will happen in between the frequency, in between the two of you. Okay, so when you are realizing that there is trauma, or maybe you realize in the other one that there is trauma, it is a trauma reaction, and you talk to them about it, but they are not stepping into integrity, they are not taking accountability for their actions because of their trauma, even though you do understand that it is a trauma reaction, and you have compassion for them because maybe you have been there and you've been through that, or you are just very compassionate in general and empathetic, and you understand that it is their trauma reacting and not how they want to react, but they are not taking accountability and they are rather even being defensive about it. Then that is also a thing where you have to question, how much longer am I willing to be okay with that? How much longer am I willing to hold space for that person without them changing? And at some point, again, the only solution is cutting ties. The only solution is getting out of that connection energetically and physically, so that you can make space for something that is more in alignment. I see that happening a lot with my clients in general, in my life, in the life of other people. I'm talking about this right now specifically because I have had a couple of connections right now that I ended because of the realization that the other side is not taking accountability and is not walking in integrity on the level that I want my friendships and connections and relationships to navigate on. Because I don't want to wait until it explodes and is a really big thing that is going to affect us even more and makes it even more uncomfortable for everyone involved, because maybe sometimes also other people are involved because you're in the same friend group. And I rather cut the tie in a moment where I just can't unsee anymore that it is not in alignment, it will not be beneficial, instead of trying to work it out if there has been a few times already of having conversations and working it out. So obviously use your discernment here, but I wanted for you to be able to decipher if it is your trauma reacting or if it is your intuition talking to you in situations where it feels off, so that then you are able to take the aligned action step and act accordingly. Because sometimes it is difficult to decipher that, specifically when you are aware, specifically when you are healing and you're working on yourself. Sometimes it's like, and it's a beautiful connection, and you question if they would ever do something like this. And then again, I just want to say, sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes it's their trauma bringing this misalignment to the surface. But that doesn't mean that you have to be the person that is staying in that connection if it continuously makes you feel off and makes you walk on eggshells and be so understanding of their trauma and their reactivity that you are not allowing yourself to feel for yourself, to allow yourself to navigate the way you would navigate it, to set a boundary when you would set a boundary, to make you feel better because you are changing your behavior around them so that they would not feel a type of way. If this is where you are and conversations have not been fruitful, it is time to cut the tie. I hope that was helpful. I'm going to try to make more videos like this as well, based on my own experiences or things that Spirit tells me to talk about. I hope that was helpful. Please let me know in the comments. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I would love for you to help me continuously grow that channel. We are on the brink of making that happen, and I love to see it. Tell me in the comments also topics that you want videos on. I would love to help you more specifically with specific things that you are dealing with in life, but you kind of have to let me know, okay? So reach out, let me know, send it to a friend that could be benefiting from this, and I talk to you soon in the next one.